Hello and welcome to episode 52 of the Bonus Point Rugby podcast. My name is TJ Olsen, and this has been another roller coaster week in the Pacific. So we're ready to get stuck in and talk all about it. But we've subbed out Huller this week, and we've got a very special guest filling in for him today. So please welcome 2003 Super Rugby champion and also 2005 IRB Sevens Player of the Year, Orene Ai'i. What's up, Rens? How we doing, brother?
So TJ, all good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show, bro.
Of course, man. And anytime I can get someone of your caliber on the show, especially with a good yarn that you hold, I think I'll gladly put you on every time. So, obviously, last time we got to catch up, it was in person while you were living over here in LA and with the Giltinis, and now you're back in the land of the long white cloud. What have you been up to, brother?
Just been catching up with everybody, really. Just trying to reconnect with friends and family. And then also I've just been doing a little bit of work with Counties Manukau Sports, which is keeping me busy. And obviously with the little one that we had 4 weeks ago, he's just growing too fast, man. So that's that's been keeping me busy and obviously on my toes a little bit.
Well, I know you got the little one that has always been the little cutie that was running around, and then also having another one that I know is going to have plenty of energy just like you. So it's congrats, man. I'm so excited for you to keep growing the whānau. But let's talk about the reunions that you're talking about, because this past week you were part of the 20th anniversary of the famous 2000 Blues team that captured the Super Rugby title. And I kind of want to talk about what that feeling was like. And I know that anyone who plays sports, they know how it is, how special it is to reconnect with teammates, and even more special when you won a championship together. And I could only imagine what it feels like when you win a Super Rugby title. So what was it like to reconnect with your team and be there for that special occasion?
It was really awesome, man. Like, Ali Williams, David Gibson, and Steve Devine, they did a lot of work in the background there just to get all the boys together. Obviously, most of the boys couldn't make it out because they're still either playing overseas or coaching. But the boys that were there, it was just good to see them after so long. Some, rounder than others and a lot older and grayer than others. But nonetheless, it was good to reconnect again. And like you said, it was just a special group of men that did something special for the region, to I guess, be acknowledged so long. Was awesome, and just to catch up with everybody and share our stories from back then. It was a really special weekend for us.
And you spoke a little bit about the evolution of some players. I know that obviously when some people leave rugby, they change a bit. They a little bit of the figure or a little bit of just the grey hair and things like that. But one question I want to throw at you is the evolution of players. Is there anyone on that team that you see that is now doing something that you never thought they would do, or something that kind of just sparks your brain and go, oh, when I was playing with them, I never would have thought they would have done that? Or it's pretty interesting to see that.
Yeah, man, it was cool. Like, obviously we caught up on the Friday before the big game on Saturday. Had a long lunch and whatnot, and a couple of the boys actually didn't turn up because they were filming. So Case Muse and Troy Flavel, they were filming and starring in the new Jason Momoa film that it's being filmed now. So
oh wow,
those boys there, you would have thought that they got into the old corporate world, but those two decided they're going to be actors now. So yeah, look out for those two on the big screens. Yeah.
So you spoke about the time you get to catch up on the Friday and all that stuff, but I want you to take a little trip down memory lane just before we chat about a little bit more, because you got to play with an incredible crew of people. You spoke about it: Ali Williams, Carlos Spencer, Howlett, Rush, Mia Lamu. The list goes on and on. What was it like to be a part of that program and that championship run?
It was awesome. Like I said, everything about that year, from pre-season right throughout the season, it was just awesome to be around those guys. Obviously, being a player, but I also, had the best seat in the house because I got to rub shoulders with these guys and obviously learn and just embrace the game and just, do something special like winning that championship that year. And we had some amazing players, like you named off a few. And then, you had Doug Howlett, Rico Gear, Mills Muliaina, and then let's not forget, the Fijian speedster, Rupini Daudau. He was just something else. So, yeah, it was, for me being in that side, and the opportunities that I got, and, I just cherished every moment of it, because when you got the caliber of players like that in your squad, sometimes it gets quite hard to get a bit of game time. But, just being patient and just being there as part of the team, all, I guess, striving for the same goal, that's what made it special. And for us to win it and win it against a great Crusaders side, made it even more special.
Okay, so last question before we move on, because I'd love to hear you chat about some Super Rugby and obviously this new All Blacks coach that's been appointed. But do you have a favourite memory during the season? Obviously, the championship would have been one, but do you have another favourite memory during the season, or maybe a favourite player that you played with on the team?
As I mentioned, we had probably like I said, I had the best seat in the house, and that year, apart from winning the championship, like you said, just witnessing the freakish nature of Lupini Daudau.
Yeah.
Some of the things that he did on the field was just unbelievable. And I remember I sat in the stands with him on Saturday, watching the game on Saturday, and I asked him, and I said, because we watched the highlights of the season in 2003 and that long lunch, and the stuff he did, he made it look so easy.
Mm-hmm.
I went to him and I said, did you realize how easy it was? Or was it hard for you? Like, was it easy for you to do what you did? Because it looked easy from where we were sitting. The way you were scoring these tries and just, carving up. And, in true Rupini styles, he's just like, I don't know. Yeah, but just watching him having a front seat, and I guess just being there, just witnessing him do his thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people will argue that he could have played for a lot longer than he did, and he was just a sensational player. I would have loved to see him play for another 20 to 50 years because he just did so many of the things that he did. But yeah, I can only imagine what it would be like to sit there and watch all those freakish things, because man, he killed it. But let's move on to the modern day, because I want to get your head about the Super Rugby games over the weekend, because we had a lot of riveting matchups over the weekend. And the first one I want to chat about is obviously the one you were in the stands for, and the Blues Crusaders game. So a lot of people were saying that it was going to be the biggest game of the year, because you've got a rivalry that's lasted the test of time. You've got so many awesome matches between those two amazing franchises. And I think it delivered on the excitement factor for sure. But unfortunately, the Blues ended up going down at a really tight side. What did you think about the matchup in total when you were watching it?
Every time you come up against the Crusaders, it's always going to be a tough game. And, just with the way the boys are built these days, and obviously the skill set that they have, you knew it was going to be an exciting game. And that it was definitely exciting. Some great tries scored, but just the physicality, being that close to the action, just seeing guys throw themselves at the line, and obviously, as you saw it towards the end there, the Crusaders defended tremendously to keep the Blues out. Just it's always hard, to kind of get one up. If you're not mentally and prepared really to bring your A game against the Crusaders, it's always going to be a tough game. And the Blues, I guess, found that out on Saturday night. They let a few tries go, but yeah, and also let a few tries in. So as coaches, I think they'll go back and have a look at that and try and rectify, especially the side of letting so many tries in so easily.
Yeah, I think the silver lining is that it has happened a lot earlier in the year than it has in the past. Sometimes those derbies usually happen right at the end, and then you have to go right into finals footy, or you don't don't really get a good glimpse of them. Sometimes they may rest a couple of their players, and they may hold some stuff for the finals. But at least they now have a good idea about certain strategies or things, and things will change throughout the season. But at least they can now go back to the drawing board. They can take that L in stride, and then they can come back and fight a little bit harder in the next matchup. But another thing I would like to get your opinion on, obviously, as a player and a coach, you've seen these things happen, but the new trial laws they've got in Super Rugby at the moment, they've introduced some things mainly geared around speeding up the game, and I think as well, keeping the game as exciting as possible. Things like speeding up between scrums and lineouts, shot clock on kicking, time clock on every ruck. And I think one that you probably would have loved when you were playing fly half was keeping the 9 behind the scrums and getting some actual clean ball from the back. So what do you think about these laws that you've seen?
Yeah, I think it's great. It's you see the flow of the ball. It's a lot quicker, obviously, and it's just gonna, I guess, make teams and coaches and trainers, I guess, with the time strains on certain things, the fitness levels probably have to go up a little, up a notch. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on the trainers to make sure that the players are fit enough to, withstand that. But yeah, just having that. I mean, we saw it in the MLR. The 9s couldn't get past the halfway mark of the scrum, and I think it's, when you're on attack, you want to be able to be given that opportunity to kind of attack and get clean balls, so that then it just becomes a one-on-one or a cleaner game rather than all that mess behind the scrum.
Yeah, I think you can see it from the score lines, especially as a lot of these games are coming up to like in the 30s or 40s now. And then if you've got teams like your Fijian Drewers or like other teams that really have that really high attacking prowess and have the ability to do those crazy offloads, or they're very agile and they're able to move into space, I do think it provides the fan a lot more of a dynamic. And I think, like you said, it provides a front foot footy, as a lot of people are just looking for their options and just going forward with it. So yeah, I think we stick with it and go there. It's definitely exciting. But the last thing I'd love to see from you is chatting about who your potential Form 15 is, or players that you've been really thinking about who have been doing well in the competition. I know that the Chiefs have been off to a really good start. I know the Fijian team had a really good win against the Crusaders in Fiji, and there's a handful of other teams that have really been taking the ball and running with it, literally and figuratively. But who have you been really liking to see over the past few weeks?
Obviously, at 15, Sean Stevenson, he's been outstanding there, and he's really pushing his claims for a black jersey in this upcoming World Cup.
He's making a pretty competitive argument, huh? It's like a lot of people going from a guy who didn't make the All Blacks 15, which was the second tier side, and then becoming a starting player, and now everyone's saying he's the Form 15.
Yeah, I just like how he just goes about his work quietly, doesn't really let the noise distract him. And you can see that in his game. He just seems free, and he's enjoying his rugby. Obviously, another player that's been outstanding is Mark Telea. I think he's just gone from strength to strength. On the end of year tour last year, he surprised a few people. And to be honest, he's just improved every single time he's gone out on that field, and he's doing some amazing things on that field. Like, I don't know how he stays up, in some of those tackles. Yeah. And then obviously, centre pairing is pretty. I like the look of the Drewer, centre. Right now, obviously, he made his debut, in the second round, I think it was.
Yeah.
He's come out. He scored 2 tries on debut. So, I really like the look of him. And obviously, Geordie's been sound for the Hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no denying that Richie. When he's on, he's on. At 9, I really like the look of Cam Roigard.
He's making some good moves, man.
Yeah, so I spent a little bit of time down with the Hurricanes when I was down in Wellington. Just observing their sessions, and he just, I just like the look of him. he's another one pushing, pretty strongly. And then at 8 man, obviously, when Artie's not playing at 8, Hoskins, so Tutu's, he's putting up some good numbers and obviously some great performances too. And then for me, I like the open side flanker for the Brumbies. Is it Luke Rima? Luke Rima?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
He's been standing the last couple of weeks, and
when
so
he pairs with Valentini at 8, I think they're a pretty big force to be reckoned with. It's something that you've got to look at. A lot of people will argue about the back threes in New Zealand at the moment, but I think the Brumbies have obviously been building a lot of great forwards over the time and just been crushing it at the moment.
Yeah, and then I really like. I'm a big fan of Ethan Blackadder. Just the way he, just the hard nosed attitude to everything. He just puts his body on the line and he just throws himself around the park. And you don't really see him too much, but you can, But when you do notice him, he's just just smashing those racks, or he's trying to get go for time. And,
I think that's the thing that a lot of people forget, or like if you're not like a big rugby watcher, if you don't constantly watch the games and know the systems, there's a lot of people, they may not see your six quite often, but they're doing a lot of things in the background and they're setting the platform for a lot of other things to happen. And he's someone that's been kind of argued in the media is that he's been putting his body on the line too much, and that's how he's been getting some injuries. But I think, man, the mongrel that he brings and so much just attack and defense, he does so many things that a lot of other sixers can't do. So I think that's why they had to go looking for Scott Barrett at 6 during last year's All Blacks campaign. But man, I love to see him back in footy, even if he is playing against the Crusaders and I have to watch him as a Chiefs fan.
He's just a grafter, and chip off the old block, his old man was like that. So, and then obviously the two, Whitelock and obviously Scott Barrett, they kind of work well together. Whitelock had an amazing game against the Blues in the weekend.
Yeah.
But the crucial turnover there right on the line. And when you got those derbies and those rivalry games, you usually see the big players step up and make a difference. And he was outstanding in the weekend. And then my props, my front row at the moment, I still like my hooker, Samasoni, from the Chiefs. He's awesome. I like him. I just like his demeanor. I like the way he plays, and doesn't really talk too much, but just lets his actions speak for him.
That's a good one, yeah.
And then Nipple Olala had an amazing game against the Chiefs. I thought he scrummed well, and then obviously his open field play, some of the lines that he ran and just putting his big frame in front of players and just I guess wanting those big collisions, because that's what you want from your big boys, is initiate those collisions and go forward.
I think some people saw him make that breakaway and they were all going, "Oh, I didn't know how fast he could run or that he was that quick." And I was like, you got to realize that they're always in the tight trenches. They've only got these finite amount of spaces to work in, and they're just smashing their body. Give them an opportunity to run in open space, they're away. They're quick boys.
Exactly, man. So, and then the old guy at the Brumbies, old Slipper. He just keeps grafting away, man. Like, he's been there. Like, he's obviously one of the most experienced guys at the Brumbies. And just he's pretty consistent, week in and week out for them, man. I like, he's awesome, man.
Man, he keeps surprising me every year because I keep thinking like this is going to be the year there's going to be his downfall because he's just had so many years that he's been just killing it in a Wallabies jersey or in a Brumbies jersey, but he keeps proving me wrong. So just keep it up, man. I think he's really doing it well.
Yeah, I know. He's keeping those young boys away though, so which is keeping those young boys honest across the ditch.
I think that's I can't remember who it was. I remember listening to an interview with I can't remember exactly. I think it was an old blues prop or something, but I remember him talking. He was one of the elder statesmen in the team, and he came in and he had a couple of. Oh no, actually, I think it was a Crusaders prop, and he came in and he said, "Look, I'll give you all the tools. I'll teach you everything about the game, and I'll help you get to that next stage. But if you want my jersey, you're going to have to come and kill me for it or take it from me." And that's the thing that I think Slipper's doing, is that he's still developing and growing all the young talent in the Brumby system. Like, I've spoken to a couple of guys, is they've got a really good line system of getting new players in, but he's not going to roll over and just let anyone take his job. He's just going to keep chipping away.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
You're good enough, you'll get it.
Yeah.
If you're not, get in line.
No, that's good. All right, I love that Form 15. I'll encourage anyone else to try and tackle that one, because that's a pretty solid one over the past couple of weeks. But let's move on from the Super Rugby, and let's chat a little bit about this All Blacks announcement, because it shocks some people with the way that the NZR has done it, but it's kind of been the worst kept secret in New Zealand for the past year, because everybody knew that Razor was going to take this job. But he's had unparalleled success in Super Rugby as a coach, and he's obviously been in a lot of other programs. I know he's been in Canterbury, he's been in with the 20s, he's done a few other campaigns as a coach or as an assistant coach, and he's always come in and success seems to follow him. And he's making the jump to international rugby, which he's been wanting to do for a little bit. So I'd love to hear from you, because I know there was a couple of other names in the hat, like Joe Schmidt, Jamie Joseph. And do you think this is the best move for the All Blacks to go in the step with Razor, who has limited international experience but really good experience in other programs, or should they have gone with someone like Jamie?
Look, I like the appointment. I'm a big fan of Razor. And obviously, like you said, it was New Zealand's worst kept secret. But then on the other hand, I felt like that New Zealand, because the cat was kind of let out of the bag, months before, that they kind of had no other choice to kind of give it to Razor. Or, what he's done in Super Rugby, obviously, he's earned his stripes as a coach, being in age grade, NPC, and then Super Rugby, and winning all those titles. I just think that he's done the yards, and he deserves his chance. For him to create that legacy at the Crusaders, I just think that he'll bring that same enthusiasm, the same excitement, and he can build something really, really special with the All Blacks. And I just think, they should have just named them, when they were going to name him, instead of, putting Foster through all of this. But yeah, now it's out of the bag. I guess it's official now. Foster can now focus on trying to win a World Cup, and Razor can focus on the Crusaders, knowing that, when the reins are handed over, he's ready to go.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a new ground for New Zealand rugby, because it's always been traditionally, it's like the farming system, as they would always have the assistant coach become the new head coach, and it'd always be someone internally. I think they now, with the way the game is changing and just so many other variables, I think it is now good that they're going through a process where it's technically the best person for the job, or at least perceive the best person as the job, rather than just going, okay, they have to come in internally, they have to work their way up, which is, I'm all for earning your stripes. But if you've got someone who's been toiling in Super Rugby and in so many other competitions and doing so many good things, is we want the best person in New Zealand rugby, and we don't want to see them leave. We want to make sure that we're keeping those coaches around. But you spoke about Fozzie, and he's obviously taken his name out of the hat for becoming the new All Blacks coach, and now with Razor's signing, it's now become confirmed. But he still now has to take this group to France and try and win a World Cup. And it is weird timing, that the way they've done it. They could have waited until after the World Cup, or they could have done something else. They could have named it earlier, where people would have been able to kind of take it on and kind of marinate with it a little bit more. But you being a player, what do you think is the possibility that this will distract the All Blacks camp, or do you think it's just like, get on with it, and the boys have their sense of professionalism and everything else, they'll just be able to kind of go for the World Cup and just focus on the job?
I guess now, like I said, now it just allows the players to really focus on what they need to do. Obviously, performing for their franchises, but in looking at the bigger picture, they can really say, okay, cool, we've got 6 months with Fozzie, if that, in 5, 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, get them behind them and send them off on a good note. I just think, the more they get distracted, it's gonna all unravel at the World Cup for the AB. So the quicker they can kind of park that and get rid of that distraction, the better moving forward, I think.
So I think the one thing that there's no question about is Razor's an incredible coach that has the ability to get buy-in from his players. I think I've heard a lot of people say that he is really a player's coach, and you can obviously see his attitude and the way he conducts himself is he is a professional coach, but he still is able to have those really intimate conversations and break down walls and build a really good culture and obviously a winning formula as we've seen. But he's been very outspoken as well about the knack that he has with surrounding himself with some quality coaches that fill in his gaps. Like I think a lot of coaches in the past would have been a bit nervous to say that this is my gap or this is something that I don't feel like I'm very good at. So if you were to be picking his assistant coaches, who would you pick to join his team? Whether it's on quality or whether it's potentially a gap that needs to be filled with Razor, who would you pick?
For me, obviously Jason Ryan's got to stay there. He's done an amazing job with the forwards and obviously the scrum. And this might surprise a few people, but I really like the look of Tamati Ellison.
Yeah.
As a back coach, another coach who's done the yards, who's toiled away at NPC level, age grade, had a stint in MLR, and he's done really well with Razor, alongside Razor with the Crusaders. So, I'd like to see Times get a shot. And then again, you look at the other side, and you've got Leon McDonald, who's doing well with the Blues as well. So, there's some great coaches out there. I like to get Clayton McMillan, and there in some capacity, because I just think that what he's doing with the Chiefs now and what he's done for the last few years, they always seem to be there or thereabouts. And like you said, they're player coaches. They get the players and they relate to the players and they have this way of getting the players on board and really going forward on the same mission. So, yeah, Tamati Ellison, Clayton McMillan, and probably an outside chance, Leon McDonald as well.
Yeah. No, it's funny that you say Ellison because as soon as I saw him named as the Lions coach, I was like, that's the best decision that the Lions have made in a long time. It's just he's such a quality coach, and every time, even if you just hear him on an interview or like in between a Super Rugby when they get like 30 seconds with the assistant coaches, he may not say much, but it's the insight that he provides within those small little nuggets it's so good. And I've heard other things like that. Obviously, like you know him a lot better than I do, but I've heard so many good stories about him as a coach and obviously coming in as a player and all those types of things. And I think the whole list of people that you named is they are players coaches. Like I've heard so many good things about Clayton McMillan. Leon McDonald has done so many amazing things. And I think that the only argument people would make is that taking those coaches away into the All Black system from Super Rugby will kind of diminish our coaching ranks. But I disagree completely. I think we've got plenty of great coaches to jump into the ranks and fill those gaps if they do take All Blacks duties. And we saw it happen. Obviously, like for the Wallabies, for example, they didn't have the best campaign under Dave Rennie, but you saw Dan McKellar come in as a Brumbies head coach into the Wallaby system, and he did so many innovative things and great things as a coach. So I think it's all those coaching names. I would love to see them as the All Blacks coaches in the next ring.
And that's that's what New Zealand Rugby's pathway program is. It's coaching pathways, it's player pathways that all these promote the next guy up. If Clayton and Tamati get get asked to be assistant coaches for the All Blacks, then it's the next guy up. So to take over the Crusaders or the Chiefs. I guess as a player and as a coach, the pinnacle of your career and your aim is to coach or to play for at the top level for your country. So I don't think those guys will turn that down. Yeah, so but I'd like to see those guys. I'm a big fan of Tams.
I would love to see that. So I'm going to be hoping and praying by the time this World Cup finishes, or at least even earlier with the bloody coaching announcements that's been happening. I'm hoping I see some of those names in there. But lastly, I'd love to pick your brain. So obviously we spoke about the World Cup still needs to happen. Fozzie still needs to go in and try and win that World Cup under his regime. And he's currently in France at the moment. He's doing some scouting at the Six Nations. He's preparing to find a base in France to get them ready for their World Cup campaign. In your opinion, what do you think this All Blacks team needs to do to get the job done in France?
I just think, obviously there needs to be a shift in how they go about the attacking plan. If some people may agree with me or disagree with me, but the last few, Bledisloe Cups and the end of year tour, we got too predictable. I think we got too structured and that we had to do A, B, and C instead of just letting the players be free and expressing it and playing what they see. So I just think that they need to, tweak their attack plan just a little bit, and because they've got the players to do it. When they're all healthy and fit, we can beat anybody in the world. And so, just from me, that's my personal opinion. Is especially from the attacking side of things, and obviously, more focus on the attack, and just a little bit more focus on team system, defense systems, because we got opened up a little bit over the last the few games that we had, especially at the end of year tour. So just getting that mix right of structure and unstructure, is probably gonna be the difference. I think if you see it now, the French are doing that really well. Guys are just pulling stuff out of the hat, instead of just playing to a structure and going from A to B, just ticking boxes. They're actually seeing the game for what it is and seeing the space and trying to attack those spaces.
I think that's really good insight, because I think when Jace Ryan came in, a lot of the first questions he got asked is, okay, you're now in this new role. What are you going to add to make the squad change, or what are you going to do? And his first answer was, well, I'm not going to add anything. If anything, we need to peel layers back and we need to simplify. And I think that's always been something that good rugby coaches know what to do. Is they sit here and they go, we don't need to make a super complicated system when we don't need to. We've got some of the best players in the world who instinctually they're able to go, okay, we just need to do these couple of things, hit these benchmarks, and then go from there. And I agree 100%. When you look at the All Blacks and when they've been successful over the years, is yes, there is a skeleton structure or there is something that they go to, but a lot of their amazing plays and a lot of their ingenuity comes from just instinctual stuff. They just turn around and go, what's in front of me? Let's just play that. So yeah, no, I 100% agree. And defensively, I think we've got to do a little bit more work as well, just on the technical side. But yeah, it's more connectivity and structure on the defense and less structure on the attack. I think that's nail on the head right there.
And that's where I think Clayton McMillan can fill that void. Obviously, they got Scott McLeod in there, but I'd like to see, because obviously Clayton, he was a dominant figure. He loved the contact, and he's good at getting the boys up for defensively. So I just think he'll be great in that role for the All Blacks. Just a fresh approach, and but like you said, defense and attack, tweak those, you should be right.
Look, should be right. Yeah, I think Scotty's had a good run with the All Blacks. He's done some amazing things, but I do think now is the time if we're going to make a change and we really want to make a spark. Yeah, I'm all for Clayton, and that's not me being a biased Chiefs fan at all. But
you know,
he's got some good stuff to add. But I think the last thing I want to ask you about is obviously All Blacks aren't just going to come in and win it against no one. They've got to play games, and they've got some incredible opponents in front of them. They've obviously got Ireland, who's just won the Six Nations, who's been doing really well. France have been really showing what they're capable of, and a lot of people are picking them to win it because obviously it's a home crowd, and we've got the All Blacks in that same pool. So if you were to pick a team or two that would be the upsetters for the All Blacks or to win the World Cup, who would you be choosing?
Like Argentina,
Really?
I think they're gonna surprise some teams at the World Cup. Argentina. So I'm gonna throw probably my top four. I'd go All Blacks, obviously, Springboks,
Mm-hmm.
France, and Argentina.
Oh, snap. Okay, that's a good one. I think, yeah, if you look at the trajectory that the Argentinian side has been on, I don't disagree with you. Like, there's definitely a way they can pull something out of the hat. And I think when you look at Ireland's success, they've got to come to a World Cup and they've got to do the first thing they've never done before, which is get out of a quarterfinal. So, yeah, man, that's a bombshell right there. I love
I just threw that in,
No, that's good stuff. Oh man. Oh, now you've got me reeling. This has been a really good one. I can't wait for that. I think some people will obviously look at it and go, "Oh," but I really like that pick. That's a good one, man.
Watch out for Argentina this World Cup.
Oh man, well, it's been great to have a chat, my bro. It's been awesome. First thing I want to say is congratulations on the little one. I'm so happy for you and the whānau, and it's obviously good to have you back in New Zealand. It was amazing having you over this side of the world, but I'm glad you're back around the family, around the friends. Anything you're looking forward to on the near coming future?
Just obviously eating more meat pies. That's quite fun. Yeah. A few more pies and a few more donuts, but I've got to start running around again. I've kind of had a nice little break, but I think it's time to get back out there. Never know, I might throw the boots on again for club rugby, and then
Bro, the amount of people that looked at me when they heard you were coming back from retirement and playing for the Guiltinis, and I was like, this will be nothing. Come on, he's got this, and you ripped it over there. But it wouldn't even surprise me from the boxing workouts you were doing over here in HQ and all the other stuff I see. You can chuck the boots on easy.
Yeah, so it'll be good to if I do the side, it'll be cool to run out again and get back into the club rugby scene here in Auckland. But yeah, like you said, man, it's been awesome. Thanks for having me on the show. But yeah, I still miss LA. Vaiana still misses LA. So yeah, we'll be back one day.
She's welcome back every time. Anytime she walked in, the whole room just stops and looks at her and goes, "Oh man, the princess of LA is here. Okay, let's go."
She kind of took that title on pretty seriously.
Yeah. Well, man, I'll be hitting you up for some frozen meat pie deliveries and for a couple other things. We'll see if we can get some type of import-export business going back into New Zealand. I don't know how good they'll end up being as traveling all that way, but no, I appreciate it, bro. Thank you so much for tuning in and jumping on the pod. We'll have to get you on soon, eh?
Sweet as. Cheers, TJ.
Right. Thanks, brother. You be safe. I'll talk